everybody, Tyron TG3 here. Pokemon Star Horizons episodes 66 and 67. Those episodes are titled System Intrusion, Crisis at Naranja Academy, and 67 Shine, Terrestrialization, Liko versus Roy. I'm gonna be a buck on this one. It was good. It was good. There's nothing else that can be said here. These episodes were amazing. These were. I'm shocked. Now I know these episodes are late. I'm reviewing these episodes really late, and I'm trying my best to catch up. But a lot of stuff's been happening. I am aware that I am late on these episode reviews. But even during the week that these two episodes happened, I'm surprised nobody talked about them for real. I liked them. So we actually do get a follow-up on Liko failing her TERA exam, her terrestrialization exam. And it's here. So basically, the explorers have infiltrated Naranja Academy. And Agat, or is it Agat or Agate? Anyway, Agat, she's in hacking information, and Penny's the one that winds up telling Dot. This is all happening while all the trainers are battling at Naranja Academy for like a tournament. They're basically doing, well, not a tournament, but they're doing like a 1v1 intermediates terrestrialization tournament battle. And the people who failed and passed are allowed to do this thing. And it's mostly just for funsies. It's basically like the field day for the last day of Naranja Academy for graduation, right? It's a finale. And it's all in great fun, but because things are being hacked into data-wise, they're trying to hack in data about Terapagos, about the terrestrialization stuff. They're trying to hack that data. And because they're doing that, Dot's trying to find out where they are using the school system. And Penny helps out. So Penny says that they're located in about 3 different areas. And Agat has to be in one of the areas actually trying to steal all the data. So they split up. And they split up because Dot gets in contact with both Liko and Roy. They all make it to the school and separate in 3 different areas. Dot ends up going to the biology room. Roy ends up going into the art room, and Liko goes to, I cannot remember where she goes to like the rooftop area or like towards the top of the school area. Now, when this all takes place, one of the guards tries to stop one of the Explorer members, Onyx, from moving further, but he gets crippled down by the salt move that what's this thing? What's that thing called? Garganacle, thank you. Garganacle winds up using that salt move, and it like slowly takes him over, right? And thankfully, Hatena comes in, and what was it, Hatena? Yeah, or Hatcham? Hatcham, sorry. Hatena, I think, is the evolved form. Hatcham comes in and uses the move in order to cure them of that, so that Liko can move forward. And then Roy ends up fighting off against Sango, my favorite, by the way. Roy ends up fighting against Sango, but he's well aware that, like, if they battle in the art room, they'll destroy the art room, so they lead themselves outside. So we wind up seeing Kilowattrel fly them out of the room so they can relocate the area of the battle. Meanwhile, Dot winds up battling against Agat's Medicham using Quaxwell. So they end up fighting. And then while all of that is happening, you can see Tinkatink on the top sneaking in through the cellar area, sneaking in through the air vent area, and jumping to sneak attack the computer. So the thing I love about this is that every Pokemon is being used. Florgato is fighting off against Garganacle. We've got Fuecoco fighting off against Glalie. We've got Kilowattrel relocating the fight so that they cannot damage the school. Then we've got Hatcham using its healing powers to cure the guard so that the rest of them can move up ahead. Every Pokemon is being used. The main mons and the secondary mons are all taking place here. No one is absent. everybody is contributing. And the best part about all of this, it all happens in one episode. Now, Roy's fight was kind of lame. It was lame. It was not great. It was literally Flamethrower versus Blizzard. It was Beam Struggle, the battle. But Roy's fight isn't important. His fight isn't as important as Liko fight. Liko's fight is supposed to be seen by Grusha because Grusha ends up showing up late. And when Grusha ends up saying that one of the guards got attacked, he goes to see the source. And before he goes to help, Hatcham is actually the one that tells him not to because Liko is clearly in control of the situation and she's fighting against Garganako with Florgato. They end up terrestrializing in the fight and Florgato does wind up winning by essentially just overpowering Garganako with grass type attacks. And I'll give it a pass for two reasons. One, they terrestrialize in order to superpower the grass type move. And two, Florgato, ever since it was a Sprigatito, was always known that it can do much more powerful leaf launching moves than it normally should. I don't know how, but it's weirdly gifted with that ability. So I can fully believe that a special attack, grass type move with Garganako having like higher physical defense than special defense can pretty much just die if it gets overswarmed by so much magical leaf. I can believe that. I can live in a world where that happens. So we'll let it go. So it happened. That's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. And Liko wins the fight, and because she wins the fight, I actually do like that Onyx is like, what's your name? And Liko says her name, and he like bows in respect and dips, because Onyx does have honor. Out of all the explorers, he's the one that shows he has the most like honor. He's still evil, but he at least has like a code, and I do respect that. Sango throws a tantrum, but gets picked up by Aerodactyl and leaves. I kind of wish she had just used self-destruct, and then Aerodactyl could have picked him up afterwards, and then Roy could have found a way to protect the area from the self-destruct rather than, I don't know. Roy's whole section was the lamest part of the episode, but it's not the focus, so I'm not going to trip off of it. The main goal is that they were able to not only stop Team Explorers, but keep it safe. Although there is a downside, while Tinkatink did smash the computer, they unfortunately were a second late and they transferred all that data over. So sadly, they failed. But the plus side is they worked together and the school's safe because of it. And they drove the explorers to retreat, which is really good considering that they're getting stronger. Back then, they could barely hold a candle to the explorers without Freed or Captain Pikachu or somebody else coming in towards their rescue. Here, they can hold their own in a fight, which is good. The next episode is good for a completely different reason. That being that Liko and Roy get to fight each other in the tournament. Dot's fight happens, but it's very lowbrow and not important. She fights off against like a random student. We also do get to see the other students, and we also see Arvin as well. Yeah, Arvin just sort of appears. He shows up. He's not really important to the plot, but he is there. It also kind of implies that this happens after the events of Scarlet and Violet. Mostly being the fact that Penny states that she works for Naranja Academy, which means she got the job because that takes place at the end of the game. And Arvin seems to be very familiar with both Nimona and Penny, implying that his whole trial is over and he met up with the other two and became friends with them. The main character is obviously absent because Pokemon Horizons anime. But anyway, Liko and Roy have a 2v2 fight. And honestly, I think this is pretty interesting considering that one, they said it'd be a 1v1 fight, but I guess they mean like a trainer versus trainer fight. But now they're having 2v2 as in they can use two Pokemon during the fight. And I'm gonna be real, both Pokemon showed a way better display this time around than during their test where the Pokemon just sort of got one-shotted in favor of the starter Pokemon. Here, in the fight, we get Fuecoco versus Florgato at first. Like, the fight starts off with those two. Later, Florgato ends up replacing Scratch with Sucker Punch, I believe is the attack it winds up using. So since it uses Sucker Punch, it ends up getting the upper hand. Roy switches Fuecoco out for Kilowattrel. Kilowattrel winds up doing some damage on Florgato and even uses Spark and paralyzes Florgato. So Liko has no choice but to switch Florgato out for Hatcham. Hatcham does lose the fight in a kind of disappointing way, but she does make up for it in another way. She winds up using, I can't remember what the exact move is, but she winds up using a move that ends up healing Florgato while it's on the team. It's almost like aromatherapy. It's basically a move that heals like status conditions on every Pokemon in the team. I thought it was the ability Serene Grace. But that may not be it, because Serene Grace only works on the Pokemon itself, I believe. Or not Serene Grace, but Natural Healing. One of the two. I think Natural Healing is the one that, like, if you switch out the Pokemon, it heals. But that only if the Pokemon itself gets status condition. I don't think it works for another Pokemon on the team. Regardless of such, Hatchram ends up curing Florgato of its paralyzation. So when it comes out, it's able to defeat Kilowattrel using Sucker Punch and a combination of that and its little grass yo-yo, its bud yo-yo. So Kilowattrel gets knocked out. Now, it is a flying type, so it weakened Florgato a little bit during that fight. But the main event is here. Florgato versus Fuecoco round 2. And the two fight with everything they got. You got quick attack. You got flame charge. They're matching each other speed for speed. They keep fighting. And then afterwards, they end up doing the cheer. But they do the new cheer. The one where they did in Montenerva. And they're doing the cheer. And while they're doing it, Fuecoco finally evolves into Crocolore. Now, what can I say about Crocolore? Design-wise,
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
It's not that great. I mean, even in the game, it wasn't that great. Crocolore is definitely a fugly motherfucker, but I'm glad it evolved. I'm glad. I was scared. And I think the reason why a lot of people made it a concern that Fuecoco wasn't evolving was because Pokemon has that weird habit of just not doing that sometimes and keeping it in its present form for the sake of selling plushies, toys, or it looks appealing and it's a starter Pokemon, and that's it. That's the Pokemon anime has left some huge scars, and that whole, like, we'll just leave it a Squirtle. Why not? We'll just leave it an Oshawott. It's fine as a Snivy. When it definitely isn't. It really should evolve. It needs to evolve. So, a lot of people were afraid, and myself included, that Fuecoco was going to stay that way. And it became more jarring when the other Pokemon around Fuecoco were evolving, but not Fuecoco. That was the issue. It's finally evolved, and honestly, I would have preferred it evolved in Montenerva if it had to evolve in any fight. I think Montenerva would have been fine. The fight against Rhyme, the test, I think that's a perfect way for it to evolve. I mean, Quaxley evolved around its test, so it's fine if it evolved around this one. I think that would have been fair. That would have been okay. But we'll let bygones be bygones. I guess they also didn't want to make it too predictable that, like, Quaxley evolves in its tournament, in its TERA test, and then Fuecoco evolves in its TERA test. They wanted to divvy it up so that each evolution happens at different times. Sprigatito ends up evolving during the Rayquaza fight, and I'm guessing maybe they're staying true to the fact that the Pokemon evolve based on their levels in game. But I'd have to double check and see which Pokemon evolve at which levels to see if this is lore accurate or the Pokemon anime is just being the Pokemon anime. Regardless, we get a really good fight. They launch their biggest attacks. They end up terrestrializing both of them. And we get like this huge magical leaf and flamethrower combo. And obviously flamethrower should win because fire type beats grass. But it's like a huge like clash. The animation's like off the charts. One thing I want to see somebody do is put the V-Volt theme song from Pokemon XY and stack it on top of Liko and Roy fighting, because I really feel like that would have been cool. I don't know if they used the opening. No, they didn't use the opening. That would have been kind of cool. It definitely feels like an opening needed to happen here. They should have played that one opening. Not the opening that's happening, the Let's Challenge opening that was playing during the time of this episode. They should have played the opening from last time. The sa la da ga na 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 na. That would have been so good. You got that. He's gonna live. That would have been so cool. I think that would have been a really cool, like, attention to detail. Oh, because the way the characters would move and the animation, the action, this definitely needed an anime opening 2 flair to it to increase the height of that fight, because it was good. I'm not even gonna stunt. I don't care about the type matchup. I don't care about the evolution. It was just a good fight. It was just a really good fight. And both Pokemon weren't letting down. One of them didn't get knocked out or clearly, like, overpowered. It was very clear. And then I like when they did the flashback of when they did their first fight, when she was telling Sprigatito to use leafage, and the leafage just came out like all scattered and small. And then Fuecoco was using ember, but it was like tiny little flares, and it would show them fighting with each other and against each other. And then we cut back to them as Crocolore and Florgato, and they're just like throwing down, and I'm like, you know what? They have come a ways, haven't they? They have come a ways. It was a really, really, really good fight. I didn't care who won or lost that. That was wild. That was wild. And yes, Liko does lose the fight. If they had drawn, that would have been fine. But Liko loses the fight, and that means Liko's been losing a lot. Onyx is really the only victory she's gotten recently. Not the Pokemon, the person. But it's okay. I think it's okay because the way they develop is kind of different now. Where Roy wins a lot of fights, but he wins fights mostly due to this weird attrition. Whereas Liko, when she wins fights, there's usually plot relevant fights. Roy usually wins like competition based fights. So I'm perfectly fine with the fact that she lost, but again, she's been losing a lot. She lost her first terrestrialization test. She lost her second terrestrialization test. She's not doing that great. She lost against Roy. It's just a lot. It's a lot. I'm guessing they're trying to make her have a huge comeback. So when they fight again as like Meowscarada and what's that? Skeledirge? When they fight as Meowscarada and Skeledirge, Meowscarada will eventually just win that fight, and Liko will just be a lot stronger in that fight. At least that's what I think they're leading up to, or at least that's what I hope they're leading up to. But overall, really good, really good. I like the fact that even Grusha points out, he's like, you lost. But I believe the baker, she is like, she lost, but it's cool. She did her best. Roy, he obviously gets support from everybody he took his test with, and Nimona and stuff. It's really cool, and obviously because they're graduating, they're leaving the Ranha Academy, they walk off. Even Sango and Onyx have a really good moment where Sango's like throwing a little bit of a tantrum, and then Onyx throws her the rice ball. It's actually funny because their names are Sandwich and Onigiri. That's their fake names that they use for the academy. Sango's like eating a sandwich, and she gives the other half of the sandwich to Glalie, and then Onyx is holding and eating an onigiri because his name is Onigiri in the academy. A nice little fun attention to detail. I like Onyx and Sango a lot, and I kind of hope that they like. I don't know if they need to necessarily become good guys, but I do like their interactions. I hope they develop a bit more, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. But they did end up stealing the data, so they technically kind of won in a way too. And after that, we pretty much ended off with them heading back with the crew. So that means they'll be joining the Rising Volt Tacklers again, and they'll be back on that. They pretty much say goodbye to everybody, and they move forward towards, exploring the rest of the region, as well as finding the other Pokemon to complete the prophecy for that. So with that being said, Narana Academy was fun. It was a nice little experience, and I think it was needed. I think it was well needed development for Dot, Roy, and Liko. And it was a nice way to separate them from the cast and give Freed and Captain Pikachu a break a little bit. That way now the Pokemon are a lot stronger and can hold their own a little bit more now. And from what we're seeing, our heroes are actually going to be headed to the Kitakami region. So that's going to be really cool, and I can't wait to get into that. And we will get into that when we move on to our next episode, which is episode 68, Taking to the Skies, the Brave Olivine. So they're actually going to be heading to, they renamed it, pretty much. Okay. And that season is called the Rayquaza Rising season. So I'm looking very much forward to seeing that. And I'm looking very much forward to doing those Pokemon Horizon reviews with you all there. I am going to take a little bit of a break on Horizon. Although, yeah, I know I've been doing it for long. I'm going to try to change up some things for Horizons. Or to the very least, I'm going to do some Horizon-focused videos that aren't just the reviews for a little bit. That because I'm reviewing the series, but I still want to get into Horizons a little bit. And I feel like this has mostly just been routinely episode comes on, episode comes on, episode comes on, episode comes on. I binge some episodes and then review a couple of episodes together in a section and then wait for more episodes, then do them in a section. Rinse, wash, repeat. So I want to change some things up just because, I want to talk about Horizons in a more complex way than just doing the reviews. So we'll be going into that a little bit more. But with that being said, I will see you all then, everybody. Thank you all so much. And I've had a great time. If I were to rate the first episode that I was talking about, episode 66, I would definitely give that a 9 out of 10. Episode 68 gets a 10 out of 10, clearly. Yeah, I couldn't find a flaw with it. I had a great time watching it. It was great. It was pumped. It was hype. Liko and Roy's development reaches its peak here and moves forward to get better. I definitely had a great time with it. And combining this with the context of that whole arc, and the fact that since Liko beat Onyx and saved the school, she actually earned her graduation and thus is able to TERA. She's able to terrestrialize. She can keep her TERA orb. So now she can TERA outside of the area now. So I'm glad that's a perfect way to do it for Liko. To me, that's great. And they stuck with their guns and had her fail the whole way through up until that point. She earned it a different way, and I like that. So yeah, complete 10 out of 10. I left that completely satisfied. It was definitely one of the best Pokemon Horizons episodes so far, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do afterwards. It's gonna be a very hard thing to follow up, but I had a really great time. I think this was peak Pokemon Horizons, and I'm glad that I was a part of it. So I'll see y'all then, everybody. Tyrone TG3.